Okay, hello everybody. Chuck G Violin is back with part 2 of our Build a Golf Course from Scratch tutorial. This is pretty much where we left off. I am going to get rid of that though. We laid out our holes, we flattened the plot, we put where we're going to have some water, and we put a little ambient elevation. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to kind of draw our fairways, bunkers, greens, tee boxes, etc. So we only have one set of tees right now, and that's cool. So the thing you want to do when designing a hole is, Jack Nicklaus, I think, said that you need to provide a challenge on every shot. So that's the tee shot, that's the approach shot, and the putt. So there should be some sort of obstacle to achieving each of those shots. At the same time, there also needs to be somewhere to bail out where it's safer to hit the ball, but doing so should make the next shot more difficult. So let's say, for example, we have a bunker over here, and you can try and carry the bunker, or you can, kind of lay back over in here somewhere. But then if you do lay up over the bunker, or not lay up, but if you carry the bunker, your shot will be easier. But then if you kind of lay back here, maybe there's like a bunch of bunkers, or the shot is much more difficult. So that's your basic kind of philosophy of golf course design, is you should offer a couple of options off the tee, with one option being more difficult than the other, with the easier of those two options making the next shot more difficult. I hope that makes sense. So what I like to do is I want to use the measuring tool. And so this hole is 435 yards long, up the hill a little bit. So we're going to say, now knowing what I know about this game, is that most people are hitting the ball anywhere from 270 to 300 off the tees. This is, as you can see, is down 31 feet. So they're going to be hitting it a lot further, although we're going to fix that. So we're going to say they're going to hit the ball this far, or as a designer, I'm going to let them hit the ball this far. That's a little bit of a kind of a God complex way of saying it. But so the next thing I want to do is say, okay, I want the golfer will be allowed to hit it 307 yards, and we're going to make this the widest part of the fairway. So we're going to make this 45 yards wide, which is very wide. So everything past it, however, like for example, we're going to put a bunker over here, right in this area right here, so that, if you're going to hit an easier shot, which means maybe you're going to hit the ball over here, this is going to be the more difficult approach. Whereas if you challenge this bunker over here, this is going to be the easier approach. Yes, it's up the hill, but it's going to be slightly longer shot, but without any nonsense to carry. And then what I like to do is I like to go over here, and we're going to do, so remember we said from over here is harder, so we're going to angle the green in this direction. 37 yards is pretty good length for a green with almost 30 yards. So this is a fairly decent sized greens. Okay, so now we've kind of got this figured out. So what I do is I work kind of backwards from the green. So we'll draw our green first. We go over here, create surfaces, green spline tool. And we want to draw this and draw something that is, interesting looking. Edit, smooth. Okay, so this looks terrible up here. So we need to just kind of go over here. We're going to move this. Just to, we don't want any weird kinks in our green here. We'll move this one too. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing this because this is just kind of like, this is going to be only for, tutorial purposes. So again, bunker's going to be here. And why don't we go ahead and draw that bunker? So we're going to create a bunker. You have a couple options. You could do any of these, but you don't really want to do a kind of standard shape like this. So if you do decide to do one of these, make it interesting by putting a couple of them together as like that. All right, so we'll and then we'll just kind of do that. And that's an interesting looking bunker, and unless you really are an experienced designer, you can't tell that was made out of a bunch of, standard stock shapes. All right, next thing we're going to do is we are going to draw our fairway after we fix this little thing that's bugging me on the green. So we're going to draw our fairway, and remember I said this was a harder shot, right? So we're going to draw our fairway like this. Fairway, spline. So the nice thing is you see there's like yellow circle around the spline point. That tells you that's the width of the spline, so you can kind of line it up here already with, the green that you want the fairway coming out of. So I always put a bunch of points up here and then not as close together. Now, I'm finding in this game that spline points need to be a little closer together in order to not have weird jagged edges. Now, we're going to also make this kind of a little chipping area and go like that. So that's our fairway. It's not bad. So now we want to go here, edit, smooth and sharpen first of all, but not sharpen. We want to smooth it. And then we need to go down here to where it says shape state and make it filled. And bingo, we've got a decent looking fairway that needs a little bit of repair. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to do right now is go through and repair any of like the edges. Like this looks bad right here. So we want to just kind of see if we can't move some of this stuff around a little bit and just make that look a little better. Yeah, that's better. It's not great. So how wide was this? So that's still 30 yards wide. That's still really, really super wide. I'm going to redraw this fairway, and oftentimes I do this. I actually will draw a fairway numerous times. Delete spine. Sometimes I'll leave the one that I don't like on there as a guide, but okay. So here we go. We're going to go like this. And then we're going to make this a little thinner or narrower down that side. And then again, we're going to still keep this as a little chipping area. And I think I like this a lot better because now this is narrower over there. And we're actually going to, well, let's go ahead and do what I wanted to do earlier. So we'll smooth spine, and then we will go to shape state, deep state, I don't know, whatever. And then we're going to actually move this a little bit more this way. And then we're going to always be smoothing, like always be saving and always be closing. And then we're going to move this one a little bit. And now is when, I will fiddle with this, for several minutes until I get something that I like. And I'm not going to do that as much in a tutorial video, but okay. So let's go ahead and save. So now we've got a pretty nice looking fairway, actually. This is a little funky over here. You can have a fairway do all of these kind of different, wavy edges, kind of like I call them Jack Nicklaus fairways. Nicklaus fairways are generally known for being kind of wavy like that. More of an old school type of fairway would be very straight. It would just kind of curve a little bit, and, you know, like you would see it, say, I don't know, you know, like Oakmont or, you know, Winged Foot, things, you know, courses like that. So the next thing we want to do before we make the tees is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the transition into the green. You see how that sticks out like that? We don't want that. So now we have to take this, move it, and we want just a really, really gentle and smooth transition into the green. And let's see if we can get that with as few clicks as possible. Almost. Let's smooth it before we do any more of this, because sometimes when you smooth it, it greatly changes what you've just done for work. And that's okay, and that's better. Then we just got to move this one, and we're cool. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to show you how to really judge how well it looks. This one looks terrible, so we really need to do some work on this. So this has to kind of get all the way over here. So does this. Obviously, you don't want them sticking out up here, but we want this to kind of come this way. Let's smooth this so we can make sure that it is. That's getting better. All right, that's not bad. That's not bad. We do want to move this kind of down here like so. Yeah, move this in, because we'll kind of put a bunker over here. You know, we want this to be an easier shot, but not a gimme. So, all right, and now we will smooth, and then I'm going to show you how you can really tell if you've done a good job with your fairway to green transitions. And that is, let's go ahead and put our little bit of light rough. So you're going to go to Edit, Secondary Surface, Light Rough. We won't change the size of said light rough, but we will, you know, keep it as it is and decide what to do with it later. When you get to a green, you have to click down one for light rough. And then come on over here and look. And that looks pretty good. I think we could maybe change that just a little. Or maybe it's this one. That looks okay. Maybe it's the green that's the problem. Yeah, it's the green that was the problem. That looks okay. Let's see what it looks like over here. And that looks pretty good too. Nice and smooth around this corner. Nice and smooth here. So, what do? We must, of course, save. So what we've created so far is a fairway and a green. We've done no elevation or sculpting on this. We will do that in the next episode. But we are going to now make some more bunkers and make our tee boxes. So this one bunker here is cool, but I want another one. And I'm going to draw this one by hand. I want to make the path width a lot smaller and go ahead and draw something kind of like this. It's up to you. Oops, I really messed up. So we want to delete this. Delete point. And now let's smooth. Yeah, that looks okay. In general, you want to keep the shapes of your bunkers obviously different from each other, but within kind of the same idea. So if you're going to have all, say, bunkers like these, okay, with all these fingers, they call these, you know, bunkers with a lot of fingers, then you want to kind of stick to that theme throughout and have almost all of your bunkers be like that. If you're going to have bunkers with wavy edges, kind of like this and like this, you know, then you want to kind of stick to those throughout. You don't want to, you know, then suddenly only on one hole have those and then all the rest be your weird finger bunkers or just like round or square pot bunkers. So those are pretty cool. The other thing is, again, all of these rules are meant to kind of be broken a little bit. There are no hard and fast rules with how to make a golf course, you know, but Generally, you want your bunkers maybe to only be on one side of the fairway. Again, because you want to give the player an option to bail out over here. And then if he does, well, he's got to carry a bunker over here. So, all right, so there's a cool looking bunker. Let's make sure it's smooth. We're not going to mess with the bunker settings yet, although I do want to change the angle of the sun. And the reason I'm doing this is because everything looks better with the sun behind. So look at the flag, see the shadows going that way. We want the exact opposite. We want it kind of at us. Maybe not directly at us, but now everything looks a little cooler. You get a little bit, stronger shadows and stronger features on everything we're doing. So let's do another save. I'm going to show you kind of the strategy of this hole. So here we go. We haven't made our tee boxes yet. We'll get to that. So we take our tool, our measuring tape, and we go here. So you could go ahead and hit it over here. Maybe you don't want to hit driver. Maybe you want to just hit a 3-wood, because trust me, if it's down 32 feet, it'll get there. And then if you do that, you're hitting 100 and at worst 150 or so up the hill to a back hole location. Now, let's say you want to bail out to the right. You're going to be able to hit it about 320. That's cool. But now this bunker is completely in play to hole locations, here, and there will be a couple of them. And even back here. So, anything short's going to wind up in that bunker. I did say I wanted to put another bunker over here, so let's do that. And I'm going to actually use the brush tool and make kind of a, see how fuzzy those edges are? Just kind of make a little something that is like this. This will be kind of like a little pot bunker, just to make sure that players don't get too, they don't bail out here too much. All right, so let's make some tees, and then we will have a hole ready to rock and roll. Boy, that rhymed. I didn't mean for it to. Okay, so now we're going to go here and click on hole 1 red tee and let us add tee. And so my golf courses lately are going to always have 3 tees. And they're going to have 2 tees that are pretty close to each other in distance, but the second of those are going to have a weird different angle. Okay? So like this has a little different angle. So now let's click on that. We're going to add another tee, and this will be the quote-unquote forward tee. And you can see up here, you've got the, your distances on these holes. You've got, 436 and 429, which are pretty close. And then, you've got the forward tee up here. Hardly anybody plays from there. But if you're hitting from here, again, your bailout's a little more difficult. You could go ahead and hit it far up here, but now you've got the same problem. But what you could kind of do is you might be able to kind of hit something over here. So it gives the hole a little bit more in terms of strategy or how you're going to play it. So if I really wanted to be funky, I could do this, and I'm going to. We're going to move this all the way over here. And that actually kind of makes the hole easier in a way. Again, it's going to be up to the player how he wants to do those. So now, hole 1 option. Go to tee box settings, tee box size, nothing. You could do this from any number of different places. You could do that before you even get to this section of the game. You could go ahead and change that to 0 in your settings and just have it be 0. I just always like to have it on so I can see where my tees are. And then I'll delete it and draw tees. You can do this a number of different ways. Now, it depends on what kind of style of tee box you want to have. You cannot have a perfectly square tee box like you might see in, like on a championship golf course. I'll show you. You usually want to have your tees be made out of fairways. You could do this. You could then click A for advanced edit, make it a little bit narrower. And you can also change the width of the tee box. I'll show you that here in a second. But that's about as close as you're going to get to square tees. You can then go here, white tee, and you can go to width override. And you could change them to narrower if you want. That's a cool option that you have. I'm going to leave it at the course default for now. So this is going to be your square tee. Let's go ahead and delete that. We're going to make tees that are still made up fairway, but we're going to use the spline tool. And we're going to just make more casual shapes that you might see at any other golf course. This spline here I don't like, so we're going to kind of do this. Ta-da. And then if you really want to get cool, you can then go in here, go to edit, and put a secondary surface. Gives the golf course kind of a little polish, so to speak. And then we're going to go here. We're going to draw this one, again, using Fairway and using splines, and just try to draw something that is a complementary shape to that one. Oops, nope. And we'll move this so it's a little smoother. Cool beans. And then we will go like this. Secondary surface, light rough. Awesome. Now let's say you wanted to use this shape. I'm going to see how easy this is. I haven't tried this yet. Let's say we just want to make this a circle up here. Cool. Now without moving anything, let's get out of here. We're going to go light rough brush. Okay, so it automatically makes it like super a lot bigger. Let's see if we make it smaller. Yeah, so we've got the light rough kind of secondary, but it's, you know, it's a little bigger. So even if you want to draw a circle, let's say you don't want, you want like a perfect circle, you could use the brush tool like I did here, or I like to just go ahead and draw it. And, you know, it's rare that you're going to have a perfect circle out here in nature on a golf course. Maybe, you know, depending on your landscaping crew, maybe they'll give you what you want. But, oops, nope. There we go. And then you can adjust these as necessary to try to make this as circular as possible. That looks okay. Spline point, edit, secondary surface, light rough. Ta-da. Now, that doesn't look exactly great, so we're going to move this a little bit, and it should, yeah. Sometimes if you have spline points that aren't equidistant from each other or have janky corners like that, your light rough will look a little weird like it's doing here. Also, that's going to happen on smaller shapes like this. So just try to make the distance between your spline points as uniform as possible and the shape as uniform as possible. So here we go. And that's that. If you would like to, you may go ahead and play test your golf course. Set this to the white tees, which are the back, and play hole 1. Now, you will notice your tee box isn't flat. I don't have the settings set up to where I can actually see that. Oops, I've left that out to the right. So I've, so to speak, kind of bailed out to the right a little bit. So now this middle hole location, that bunker is sort of in play. If the hole location were over here somewhere, oof, look out. So we have done nothing with any kind of elevation work as of yet. So we've got a golf hole here. We've got everything we need to have a golf hole, but it's not complete yet. It is not polished. It's not really ready to play. You couldn't have any hole locations on this green because everything is red. All these slopes are red and yellow, so you could never have any hole locations here until we fix it. So, but we're on our way. So now we have a hole. In our next episode, which is coming very soon, we are going to go ahead and do some sculpting. We're going to flatten these tee boxes. We're going to do sculpting in the fairway. We're going to look at bunker sculpting, and we're going to look at green sculpting. It's going to be a little bit longer episode than this one was, but I wanted to get you all started on how to draw these shapes, get these shapes down. All of this is very subjective. You know, we have a little strategy here where we have, we have bunkers over here kind of guarding the tee shot a little bit. I'm not 100% satisfied with the strategy here, but it's a start. So I hope you got some help out of this. If you did, drop a like on the video, drop a comment with what you liked or didn't like. And episode 3 of this will be out soon. And that's going to be our sculpting episode. So stay tuned. Take it easy, everybody.